QuickkyP continues to be one of my foundational decks of the Blitz format, my security blanket, if you will. And now, while the Hunted didn't give her any direct support, there are a number of changes that I've made to the deck since the set dropped. So today, let's talk about the adds, the swaps, and take a quick look at my new list. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my flesh and blood friends. Welcome back to the channel, and special shout out to my channel members. They're getting early access to this as part of their channel member package. But that's right, today we are talking QuickyP, Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy, who is, I believe, to be the best warrior within the Blitz format, someone whom I enjoy. She's in her orange sleeves, and she's always in my deck box, ready to go if we're just jamming games, or I don't feel like, I feel like kind of going on autopilot, or whatever it may be. Now, interestingly enough, the Hunted had a big poster child, very early on, Jagged Edge, right? So we had seen Jagged Edge very, very early on, and then it was kind of touted as a, don't worry, this will help solve the Enigma problem, and all that stuff, right? So I would say that's the poster child, and we are running that. Why would we not? Enigma New Moon is actually pretty legit within the format. In my opinion, Enigma New Moon's better than Enigma within Blitz format. So I do think we need to run one, and we are. But we're going to talk about that plus some of the other includes. Now, I had a video come out a while ago at this point talking about some cards that I missed in my original Commoner. This is not a Commoner video, but just stick with me. I'd missed these cards in my initial Commoner review of the set. And cards like, specifically, Trot Along and Nip at the Heels are incredibly good cards, even in the constructed formats. So those are going in as well. And then based on some of the changes I made, well, another change as well. So first up, as I did mention, so Jagged Edge. So target weapon attack gets +3, just straight up. It's a 1/3. And damage this would deal, can't be prevented, blocks 3. Does everything you want it to do. In Blitz, at least currently, we do not have really much room at all in the sideboard. So this is a main deck card. That's why I've gone a 1 of. Now, in my original list, and the list is below, and it's actually the same link as before. Not that that probably matters, but it's a live, long-standing list, right? Evergreen list, let's say it that way. I was running 1 yellow hit and run, and we don't need that anymore. This is the only card, by the way, of all the changes I'm making to where the pitch changes. Everything else is a blue for blue, yellow for yellow, etc. This is the only one. So we are, decreasing my pitch curve a little bit, dropping out that hit and run for the 1 Jagged Edge. But I do think it's a fair trade because we picked up some other more easy go again with the blues that I had mentioned earlier. Now, another card that I'm doing 1 of is Provoke. So this was another pretty big poster child that came out. Everyone's like, oh my god, I can force surprise. 1 of, I think, is the right decision. I don't even know that this is, and Josh actually, when he visited many, many moons ago at this point, he had kind of talked about this as well, where it's probably better in a dual swing deck. Well, Dorinthea, yes, it's a 1 weapon, but it's a dual swing deck, right? So a lot of times you're going to try and suck out on the first one because a lot of times you're trying to focus on your backswing. So I think 1 here, and the swap I made was for 1 blue overpower, which leaves me with 1 blue or overpower still in the deck. Now, I already talked about Nip on the Heels. Nip at the Heels. So target attack with 3 or less base gains +1. So it doesn't matter what it's coming in for. This will always work with the sword because it always has 3 or less base, right? Always gets +1. So the swap that this is making, so I'm putting 2 of these in, and what I'm taking out is In the Swing. In the Swing was, in the olden days, many of us were running Blue Irons on Response, and In the Swing was always just better because you could guarantee your second swing, but now Nip at the Heels is just functionally better. It's blue, it's 0, blocks 3, attack reaction, always gives me +1 no matter what. Pretty good. Pretty darn good. Easy swap there. And then we come to, that's right, Minnow the Dwarf is trotting along, also a blue 0, block 3. Precision Press has always been a card that we've run. We us warriors have run because it was the card we were running, because it was the best option. But it was the best option, it wasn't the right option. And Trot Along is not better than Blue Hit and Run. So we are still playing blue hit and run. But when we compare Trot Along to Precision Press, Windmill slotting that in, again, remember, we're always going to have 3 or less base, because your next attack with 3 or less base, gains go again. Yep. Not as good as hit and run, but functionally hit and run, and it's way better than Precision Press. Sure, we lose the piercing, but no one was blocking that with armor anyway, and it didn't carry for the turn. Cost you 1. Trot Along's better. End of story. +2, -2. Now, the last change I made is not hunted related directly, but it is indirectly hunted related. So prior, I was playing 2 copies of Iron Song. This, if you follow the full history of this deck, it was Iron Song, and then for a while it was actually Twinning Blade, and then I went back to Iron Song. Now I'm just going to Singing Steel Blade. And a lot of that is because of the ability to pull Jagged Edge or something if I need it. And again, with the extra free go again, Trot Along was big for this, because it's extra free go again at blue with block 3, right? So I feel now that I can afford Singing Steel Blade to pull, even at worst, you go pull Shift the Tide or Glint or right, whatever you need in terms of reactions, of course. I think it works now. So I like I said, I never played this before because of the 1 cost and how it kind of messed stuff up. And now I think it works. And I also like the ability to, in a pinch, be able to go get Jagged Edge or whatever I need if they're Oasising or whatever, right? Because Oasis really sucks on your Taunt Blade. And to be clear, Oasis itself wouldn't trigger Reprise. I'm well aware of that. I'm just saying, right? If you have prevention effects, like Oasis sucks because it carries on the sword who sings twice, right? So anyway, you get it. I think that the time is right for Singing Steel Blade to appear in this list. Unfortunately, we have to make tough choices because it's Blitz and we're limited, and that tough choice is Iron Song Determination. But I believe that to be correct with a +2 and -2. All right, so that brings us to the full list rundown. Again, I know many of you have clicked the link below, but let's just go ahead and go through it and kind of hit some talking points with the knowledge that we don't need to talk through every card because, we've done many deck techs on this before. And, I respect your intelligence. A lot of these speak for themselves. Now, the one thing that I actually do have a Kabuto. I was able to get a Kabuto. Thank you, Steven, by the way, for our case split. Let me walk away with Kabuto. But I am still on Crown of Providence. I like the ability to put something that I don't want to in my arsenal and get it back out. I really like that. Or to save you on a CNC or something like that. It really feels good. So that's where I've landed there. So the armor suite basically hasn't changed. Of course, we're on Dynamos. And of course, we're on Dawnblade Resplendent. Now, going into the deck, a lot of this stuff's going to speak for itself. So Blade Flurry, 2 of those because, again, guaranteed swings, 4 value, over the top, Glistening Steel Blade, you get it, right? Great card. Hit and run red-blue now. So this was originally red, 2 reds, 1 yellow, 2 blues. We've dropped the yellow for Jagged Edge, as we talked about. In the swing, obvious. I am still playing Iron Song Response. There is an argument. I very much believe there's an argument for Jagged Edge taking Iron Song's spot instead. That said, Glistening costs 1. So then you have Glistening, swing, backswing. Having that Iron Song Response is pretty nice because they're going to block your Glistening. So I do think Iron Song Response, a full suite of them, is the right play in a Glistening Steel Blade deck. I believe that to be true. There's definitely an argument that it doesn't necessarily belong in certain warrior builds. But I think in this one it does because of what you're trying to do. 1 Jagged Edge, the 1 Nourishing Emptiness. This thing is not only is a popper, but it does good work. It's also good against Riptide. I love it. 2 Sink Belows, and then we also have Take It on the Chin, kind of as our other prevention. I do love this one with Reckless Swing. Slice and Dice, Steelblade Supremacy speaks for itself again. The +2 carries on the weapon for the turn. You get the guaranteed go again. Love it. Unsheathed amazingly changed this deck. Like the pitch curve and what it did to this deck is incredible. Glistening Steel Blade, that's our bread and butter. Run through, Shift the Tide of Battle. I know some people don't like this card. Again, it works really well because you can, and I've made this happen quite a bit, actually, right? Where, remember, with Courage, you can pop it to swing free. So what I can do is like I'll have some weird hand where I'll have Slice and Dice and Shift the Tide of Battle, either one in hand, one in arsenal, or something like that. You pop, you Slice and Dice, you Shift the Tide. So you just threw 3, 6 threatening agility off of a 2, maybe even a 1 card hand. Well, I mean, counting the one in arsenal, 2 card, right? It doesn't cost you any resources. And a lot of people are like, okay, they don't have the resources. It's pretty good. Like, it's like more than pretty good. It's really, really, really good. And it'll absolutely shift momentum because they're like, oh, well, I took a bunch. I put them at like, I went to like 5 to be able to do the thing. You block mostly out. You survive. It's good. Okay, Singing Steelblade, and then we go into the blues. Glint ×2, Nip the Heels ×2, Overpower 1, Provoke 1, Steelblade Shunt. I do still believe you should be playing Shunt in Blitz. It really, really, really does things. That's my personal belief. Don't leave home without it. That's what I say all the time. Trot along. Now, going into the inventory, I know the one people will disagree with is Decimator Great Axe. I still play this because you still get cheeky Riptides from time to time, and going into Riptide with Decimator is almost an auto win. As long as you things happen in Blitz, but it's almost an auto win. 1 FFS, that's the reason we're playing that over like CNC or something, because it's a 7. So it's better than, it's good into Prism, who's actually like pretty legit in Blitz, in my opinion right now. Run AB3, and then run Oasis Respite. Now, one note about Oasis Respite, I highly recommend playing Oasis Respite against Kayo. Or I should say against Brute, because it's another really good kind of cheeky target for you can have it in Arsenal, and it's there if you get some like weird, like, oh, I got to pay for Steel Hand, I may as well play for Oasis 2, or it's there for Reckless, right? Because there may be some cases, again, you don't have a lot of you can't really IP yourself and do well in Blitz, so if like Take It on the Chin comes, like you can't really not use it, but you'd like to have it there for Reckless. So I found Oasis to actually be pretty useful. I know that might seem counterintuitive, but with Shunt and Oasis and Take It on the Chin, you can actually put up a pretty good defensive package against the Brutes and just kind of chipping away, because they don't like to like block really, right, traditionally. So anyway, we can go down the rabbit hole on all of the includes and stuff on that, but I like it in Brute. And actually, there's if you go back to the New Year's live stream, there was a Dorinthea Quicksilver versus Dylan's Kayo, and I ran that exact same thing, and I ended up losing the game, but barely. But you can see the good it did. So anyway, that little rant over. Please enjoy the deck. That's my QuickkyP deck. It's like I said, it's my staple deck. I can autopilot this thing in my near sleep, and absolutely love it. Anyway, let me know what you're thinking. Nothing else, folks. Go Commando.